Welcome to Crossroads. Thank you all for joining us once again, like every month, to think about what intelligence is and what parts of science can help us answer our questions about its mechanisms in mathematics. This is brought to us by by Cross Labs, which is a research institute in Kyoto and Tokyo aimed at understanding the mind through computational research. We explore ideas about brain science, information sciences, artificial intelligence, and artificial life, and how they can enable new technology and changes in society. The Cross at Crossroads means we are interdisciplinary, and this is our monthly fun public forum on the sciences of the mind and intelligence and other things related to that. We are supported by Cross Compass, which is a leading AI company in Japan with technologies related to manufacturing, gaming, and other industries. Now, during today's talk, the first will happen in three parts. The first will be the talk. The second will be a Q&A that is also going to be on YouTube. And then the third will be an off-stream discussion, which we will have on Zoom. So stick around if you're interested in that. And today it is my pleasure to introduce Neeraj Gupta, who is teaching and research staff in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan, since 2017. So Dr. Gupta is also the technical director in MIS 2000 and Global Electronics, Michigan. His teaching and research career started in 2013 after getting his PhD from the Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur. He then also began an international research career as an assistant professor at the University for Information Science and Technology, St. Paul the Apostle in Macedonia until 2017. So we are very excited today to have Dr. Gupta here talking to us about Mendelian evolutionary theory optimization, the shift from Darwin to Mendel and artificial evolution. So Dr. Gupta.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much. So this talk actually focuses on the shift of artificial evolution from Darwin to Mendel's evolutionary theory. So based on that shift, we have developed one novel optimization algorithm, that is multi-species algorithm. And this framework of this algorithm consists of three concepts. So first is artificial denaturation of DNA, which is used to produce offspring or hybrid offspring from the parents from multiple species. The second is Mendelian evolutionary theory of genetic inheritance that explains that how dominant and recessive traits appears in two successive generations. So that here is the point to be noted: the two successive generation. We are not talking about the next generation. So third, the epimutation, through which actually organism resist natural mutations. So that is very important. Actually, it is not like that. Something mutation is not a very simple process. So there is actually our organism body register for mutation. It is not so simple. So that is an important part. So before understanding the meto, it is very important to get the difference between between the two theories of evolution of species. So in this talk, first I will present the concept of some evolution, and then Darwin's and Mendel's theory, and Darwin-based artificial evolution, and then Mendel's amendments in the evolution, and then implementation of the Mendel's theory and the modern genetics, and then mimic of the evolutionary operators, and then comparative results. So that heredity and variation, there are the two concepts, heredity and variation. These concepts are used in developing evolutionary algorithms. So evolutionary algorithms we are using to solve the engineering problems. So Darwin, that evolutionary algorithm, the basis is Darwin's evolutionary theory. So Darwin gave precious time of his life to establish the pattern corresponding to the heredity. So in this slide, actually, according to the evolutionary theory of Darwin, species which do not fit the environments and don't have survival instincts get extinct. So this theory is called actually survival of fittest. So here, actually, if you will see that according to the evolutionary theory, the animal which are short-necked ancestor, but they are unable to eat, or they don't have instinct of survival. So they kept stretching their neck and they reach to the plants. So this is one type of mutation, and they keep it continue and keep it continue at the last. They change the species from species A to species D. So nature survival of fittest. So these from species A to species C are not survival, but the species D are survival. So based on this theory, natural evolution, the things which are mimicked into the mathematical form is called the artificial evolution. So natural evolution is like selection, crossover, and mutation, where crossover means you from we are generating hybrid offsprings or multiple offsprings of the different natures. So few of them, or maybe a lot of, maybe all of them, may be survival, and which are not survival, the nature select the best offspring and reject which are not survival. And then this is going through some mutation process. So this is called the natural evolution. In the mutation process, there is a example of ear, where you will see the different shape of the ear. These are all from going through the mutation process. So evolutionary algorithm is the field of study where natural processes are mimicked into the mathematical equations and corresponding algorithms to solve the complex science and engineering problem. So in the evolutionary algorithms, all idea are brought the natural processes into the mathematics. So a major study was carried out by the researchers on the genetic algorithms in this regard and its variants. So as a result, it has been successfully applied into the many industrial medical problems and AI problems, for example, niche algorithm that and other neuro evolution algorithms. So here it is used to solve the complex problem, which has the large search space and changing environments and the multimodal nature, and also plateaus. So these are all complex, which are hard to solve through the analytical methods. So after that's why after more than 50 years of innovation in the artificial evolution, this field is still current research topic, and which comes under the evolutionary computation as well. And the researchers are continuously trying to improve its computational power by efficient natural processes and mimicking them to the mathematical equations. So that evolutionary algorithms are also called natural inspired algorithms, and also they are bio inspired algorithms, and they are very useful where classical methods are unable to find the feasible solution. Means classical methods like gradient descent methods, for example, discrete problems, binary problems, integer problems. These analytical methods show some constraints. So these algorithms are also called meta-heuristic algorithms because these are working on the principle of probability, and especially works with the incomplete and imperfect information. So this is a beauty. So and it does not depends on the derivative, and the matrix inversion is a very single short algebraic equations, and thus easy to implement and can be extremely effective. So these algorithms require more processing power. This is one drawback of these type of algorithms because they are working on the population-based process. Thus, take a lot of they consume power, but on the other hand, they give acceptably better result. So all evolutionary nature inspired algorithms do not guarantee to find the optimal solution to all, and they are probabilistic in nature. Thus, one has to run them multiple times to find the pseudo optimal points. So, and the best ability of evolutionary algorithm is to handle the problems which have variables, mixed variables of real, integer, and binary variables. So they don't need to convert nonlinear problem into the any linear form. These algorithms directly work on the nonlinear problem, and the collaborative action of several candidates, agents, chromosome points, artificial creatures, they are they represents the population, and one candidate from them or one chromosome finds the best possible solution. So that evolutionary algorithm depends on the evolutionary theory. So two scientists are noticeable at that time. One is Charles Darwin from 1809 to 1882, and the other scientist is George Mendel from 1822 to 1884. So here we are talking about evolutionary shift from Charles Darwin to George Mendel. So Darwin evolutionary theory is a natural selection and is the key of biological evolution. So, the evolution of species is published in 1858 from Darwin, and where it is written that living creatures are the results of selective processes that have acted on the hereditary variations, means that are acted on the gene variations. So and the on the origin of a species, even after a long research study, Darwin did not clearly explain that if that variations occurs, how it happens, and how that variations is connected by the and that variations are were inherited. So, in the first chapter of the book, that on the origin of a species, he also wrote the law governing the inheritance are for the most part is still unknown. So, prior evolutionary theory is generally accepted, where visible it was followed by the researchers that visible heredity traits in the offsprings are coming from the parents. So whatever the parents will have visible traits from the two parents, the offspring will take from one of the parents. So no clear theory was about the heredity transfer. So here I will again focus that heredity and variations. These are the two concepts the where which plays the central role in the Darwin's theory of evolution by the natural selection. So we have to understand this from this example. We have two parents, parent one and parent two, and both have blue eyes. So when there is a, crossover between the two parents of blue eyes, so there is a offspring which contains brown eyes. So but so after count, what is that brown is not visible in any one of the parents. Both have the different rates. So after a long experiment, countless experiment, Darwin accepted it as a mutation. He told that this is a mutation. He didn't come to the any proper reason. So that's why there is a crossover and mutation techniques is adopted by the evolutionary algorithms researchers as a base of the evolutionary computation. But so the theory also on the mutation is like if there is a blue and blue eyes, so there is a 99% chances that it will be blue, and 1% chances will be green, and one smaller than 1% chances that it will be brown. Uh, the On the other hand, if one parent has green eye and blue eye, so there is a 50-50 chances for the blue eye and green eye, but we can't say there the brown will not happen. There is smaller than 1% chances, but it will happen. Okay, so if there are green eyes, same statistics, this is a good statistics. We can say this is a good mix where 25% chances for the blue eye, 75% chances for the green eyes. So like the same, there is a brown eyes and blue eye crossover between the two parents. So here we can say there may be any possibility of having the one color. So like here is a brown eye and green eye. So there is a 12% chances, 38% chances for green, 12 for blue, and 50% chances for brown. So this is one case, which and this is not actually sure, not a crisp number. that's why they gave it as a probability. So that can vary. Maybe there may be a 1% chances for blue, and maybe 30% chances for green, and rest of the for the brown. It is like that. And also, if there is a brown eye, there is 18% chances for blue eye, 7% for green, and 75% for brown. So Mendel was so Darwin in this contemporary. Darwin was unable to tell the real reason about that, why it happens. So ultimately, he gave the name as mutation. So, but the answer is given by the Mendel. So, Mendel was an Australian monk, and he discovered the basic principle of heredity at the same time of Darwin through experiment in his monastery garden, but without any technologies and very little resources. So he was the pioneer in the field of genetics. And around 1854, Mendel began to research the transmission of hereditary traits in plant hybrids. So he did it. So Mendel's theory, after a great research, Mendel theory went largely unnoticed during his lifetime. He sent one letter to the of his research to Darwin, but he did not give attention to his research on the hereditary transmission. So his research notes and manuscript disappeared after Mendel's death in 1884, and it was very unfortunate. Moreover, his work was often marginalized by the Darwinians and claimed that Mendel's findings were irrelevant to the theory of evolution. But in 1990, thanks to these scientists from the Dutch biologist, German plant genetics, and Austrian plant breeders. They did research without knowing the research about the Mendel on the heredity transmission, and they found the result, which was same as the Mendel's proposes in his published work 1866. So they give complete credit to Mendel's published work, and they told and they called it as Mendel's Law. So Mendel's research and theories are considered as a fundamental after that, and he is thus considered as a father of modern genetics. So a genetic theory continued to develop. The relevance of Mendel's work fell in and out of the favors. So Mendel coined two terms. One is dominant and the another is recessive. So dominant is which trait from the parents are visible into the offspring. That traits are called dominant. So genes that expresses themselves at the expense of an alternate genes. So that is and the recessive genes are suppressed by the dominant genes. Means if the parent has some genes or some traits for, like for example, blue eye, and if it is not visible into the offspring, then that blue eye will be recessive. So this is the definition of the recessive. So dominant genes are expressed from F1 generation when crosses to pure line parents, means direct cross of the parents. So that dominant and recessive traits we can understand from here, where there is a blue eye parent and brown eye parent, and this is Punnett square that shows the possibility of genotype and phenotype a person can inherit. So in the blue eye, the each trait in offspring is defined by the pair of genes in the parents. Like one pair is blue and blue, so that's why it is called homozygous blue eye parent. And heterozygous blue eye means pair has different. One is brown gene and one is blue gene. So if so, due to that gene, it has possibility or probability to appear if one offspring is with the brown eye The second offspring is also with the brown eye. The third and fourth are with the blue eyes. So here B is dominant, and that small b means blue is recessive. And here that B is dominant. So there is no recessive genes. There is a blue is dominant. So Mendel theory to show the inheritance. So it solves the inheritance that why blue eyes and brown eyes are coming. So for that, yeah. So last I show that to you. So this what the Darwin was thinking about the mutation. Mendel's theory show the reason for so the one reason how it happens. So Mendel's theory is considered or focus or is based on the consecutive two generation from F0 generation to F1 generation, and then F1 generation to F2 generation. At F3 generation, the final offspring is appearing. So at the F0 generation, there are parents with the brown eyes and blue eyes. According to Mendel, when they cross over, so they have kids with the brown eyes and with the brown eyes. Okay, so here the blue eye is recessive. So this brown eye, when it breeds with the crossover with the again brown eyes, there is a possibility of brown eyes, and here in this offspring, that blue eye is again dominate instead of recessive. So this is a fundamental of dominant and recessive genes. So according to the Mendelian, that recessive genes is appearing into the offspring into the F2 generation. Then in the F2 generation, then it again the blue eyes. So there are blue eyes. So, but again, if that blue eye, if iterates from F3 generation to F0 generation, it is the iteration. So the similar thing will happen. So it says, according to the Mendel, that recessive elements appear into the F2 generation. So this is not mutation. This is heredity transmission from grandparents to the grandchild. So, so without Mendelian theory, so if we don't have Mendelian theory, then we can lose this. We can lose this family tree heredity transfer, and we can think about the mutations, and that mutation is completely uncertain, and it can deviate the search process if we convert into the artificial evolution theory. So artificial evolution based on the Mendel theory. So goal of the evolutionary algorithm. So E can lead to a significantly better optimization system where the goal of evolutionary algorithm is to first discover the solution and then improve the solution. This is the main goal. So it solves highly complex problem like deceptive problem very efficiently. So we have many nature-inspired evolutionary algorithm in the category like evolutionary algorithm, evolutionary strategies, random search, swarm intelligence, physical chemistry-based algorithms. These are bit at the other level. So evolutionary algorithms are generally genetic algorithm, differential evolution, and which are real and coded algorithms. So these algorithms, very few algorithms you can find into the real and binary coded algorithms. So this all algorithms are generally work on the principle of either Darwin theory or swarm intelligence. So in the Darwin theory based algorithms, it works on the chromosome, which is the integral part of the cell, and that chromosome, it is not talking about the DNA. It directly talking about the chromosome and gene. So evolution works just like in the biological world, and fitter member will survive and proliferate, and unfit member will die off and not continue to the gene pool further generation, which we can see in the natural selection. and individuals that are better adopted environment to solve the problem and get to breed the produce better and better generation. So it is like that uh, the algorithm are evolving on the unit chromosome. So chromosomes are following the evolutionary process, and where it works on the population. Not one candidate is or agent is working here. It is the population of multiple organism, and each organism is represented by the crossover. So when we mimic it to the artificial population, so artificial population is like 0110 vector string. So there are one vector string represents one chromosome, and like we can see the stacks. So this stacks, complete stacks, is called the population of multiple chromosome. So evolutionary algorithm based on the Darwin, it has F naught generation population. Then on the F naught generation population, it is going through the selection, crossover, and mutation operation, and then produces the F1 generation offspring. So to be noticed here, F naught to F1 generation, and Mendel amended it to the F2 generation. According to him, we should go until F2. We should not stop the evolution to the F1 generation if we want to see the better results. So that evolutionary algorithms are solving the many robotics control design problem, electrical network problem, scheduling, routing, resource allocation, data mining problems in the iterative fashion, and gives the pseudo solution. Pseudo solution means it is not correct, it is not exact solution which we are expecting, but very near to the near solution, and it is improving again and again. So many persons have used the hybridization of the many algorithms, like hybridize PSO with the genetic algorithm, particle swarm optimization. So multiple process in one evolution step can provide multiple search strategies. Like PSO is finding for the local search, and genetic algorithm for the global search. So mixing and taking the advantage of both. But that hybridization is a serial process. Means so genetic algorithm will happen, then PSO operation will happen, genetic operation again, genetic algorithm operation, like the it's a serial process. So when it is going through the serial process, so it there is a chance that it can deviate the optimal solution and can go to the unfavorable solution. So because its dependencies are there. So if we are using the Mendel's theory, Mendel's evolution theory, we can remove that serial process independencies, and we can reinforce the parallel transmission of good genes. So Mendel evolutionary theory is deploying parallelization of the multiple process into the single evolutionary steps or generation. So where Mendel started his research on the uh, plants, tree plants. That it's one is violet flower, and the white flower. So in the first generation, so it has P and P genes at W and W. So in two species to different species. So first of all, he took the two different species, not the same species. So two different species. When he did the cross pollination between the two species, he found the offspring, and all its offsprings were heredited by the parent violet flowers. So there, the violet color is dominant in this flower. And after that, what he did, he self-pollinated with the same, and he saw the in the Punnett graph, he saw that there is one white offspring. So that office white offspring didn't come from the direct from the parent, but it came from the grandparent. So this is the beauty through which Mendel's evolution is better than the Darwin's. So if the solution in the next evolutionary step is degraded, next if solution is degraded in this step, so what will happen? it will be correct in the next generation by the ancestor goodness. So this is possible through the modeling of Mendel evolutionary theory. So what is so before going into the modeling, F1 generation offspring, how it works in more detail. So F0 generation, we have parents. So from F0 generation parents, through the crossbreeding, we are getting F1 generation parents. And in F generation parent, with the self-breeding, we are getting F2 generation offspring from the F1 generation to F2 generation. Now, this is one route of dominant genes where the genes are flowing from F0 to F1 to F2, the serial flow. On the other hand, F2 generations are not when we are doing self-breeding of the F1 generation offsprings. So that F2 generations are not only taking the characteristics of F1, also they are taking characteristics from the grandparents, F0 generation. So F2 generations, if they are affected by the F0 generation recessive genes. So this is a route two. So there are, we can see in the Mendelian, there are two parallel routes inherited. So F naught parent DNA and recessive genes. We have two basic characteristics in one cell, the DNA from the F naught generation and its recessive genes. So pure evolution happens here, F1 generation, F2, and then forming DNA, which is called route 1. And in the route 2 evolution, so two evolution, the direct evolution, which is following F1 generation, F2 generation, and route 2 evolution, it is evolving the recessive genes through the epimutation. So it has uh, uh, two two way of evolution, parallel evolution. First evolution is the direct evolution of the offspring, and second evolution is the evolution of genes, recessive grandparents genes. So that evolutionary operators based on the Mendel theory we have proposed and modeled here is, so that is the shift. Why this is the cause of shifting from Darwin to the Mendel's theory. So DNA formation is very important because according to the modern genetics, uh, uh, instead of chromosome is the formation of DNA. So we are working on the more basic elements instead of chromosome. So the second is the pollination. So pollination scheme is important. It has random pollination and sequential pollination. Random pollination means randomly selecting parents from the population, and sequential pollination means sequence parents are at the same position, position, and in the two species, and we are selecting two parents at the same position. So this is called the sequential pollination. The third is breeding. So there are two type of breeding: cross breeding and self breeding. Cross breeding refers to the F1 generation of is used for F1 generation, and self breeding is used to produce F2 generation offsprings. And then we are using the selection. The best uh, offspring will be selected, and which are alike, and others will be rejected. And this all are governed by the epimutation process. And epimutation is generally used to evolve the recessive traits. So here is the chromosome representation. So this is the natural chromosome. If you will see, this is a integral part of the it is a DNAs. It is an integral part of the chromosome, where one chromosome is formed by multiple DNAs, 5 3 prime, 5 prime, 3 prime, 5 prime, and these DNAs are connected: DNA1, DNA2, DNA3, DNA4. And our implementation, one DNA represent one variable. So n DNA means n variables. So the when we are so double helical two strand DNA. So when we will uncoil these strands, this is called denaturation. So this denaturation, when we are doing, so we are coding it with a 0 and 1. So if you will see, so this is corresponding to one variable, 3 prime, 5 prime. So see, 3 prime, 5 prime, and the other is 5 prime, 3 prime. So this is one variable, this is another variable. So our problems may have n variables, so n sections of the DNAs. So this is a denaturation of DNA for the one variable, where it is 3 prime, 5 prime, and the another strand is 5 prime, 3 prime. If you will see, it is opposite. So this is called sense strand, and the another strand is called antisense strand. So instead of using one chromosome, we are deploying two strand DNAs, the basic element of chromosome, for more accuracy. So each variable is mapped into the each value, that like this is one strand of the DNA. So that one strand is decoded into the real values, and ultimately it is giving the results into the real search space. So all operations are onto the 010101 form, and the output result in the real space. So also we can use binary space also. So natural breeding strategy uh, in this deployment of the Mendelian evolution. So it is a, DNA. So this DNA is denaturized into the sense strand and antisense strand. So DNA of parent 1 and DNA of parent 2. So from double strand to denaturized. So if we can say, here is a 3 prime 5 prime and 5 prime 3 prime antisense strands. So both are different. So here both are different. So this is the theory of modern genetics, where it says thus to generate the offspring one, sense strand of one parent combines with the antisense strand of another parent. Both are not same. If this is 3 prime 5 prime, so it should be 5 prime 3 prime to make the offspring of DNA of offspring. In the similar fashion, DNA of offspring 2 is comprised of sense strand of one parent and the antisense strand of another parent. So artificial DNA formation. So sense strand and antisense strand. So how sense and antisense strands are formed? So sense strand and antisense strand. So if we have sense strand, so antisense strand are formed by flipping the bits, because here are 3 prime 5 prime and here are the 5 prime 3 prime, means 5 prime is coming to the 3 prime and 3 prime is coming to the that 3 prime. So from here to here, these all are coming to this area, and these all genes are coming to this area. So this one section is called gene value, and this is called allele. So like this, we are developing DNA, artificial DNA, from the sense strand to the antisense strand. So artificial breeding is from the one parent, as I told you, that antisense strand of one parent uh, to generating two offspring will go here, and will from here 20 cents to here come, it will come here. So like so we have two offspring, two. So this is a natural process of generating offspring, which is unavailable in the current evolutionary algorithms. All evolutionary algorithms are working on the single strand of the chromosome instead of double strand DNA. So that artificial population, so it makes the populations, because evolutionary algorithm is population based. So all sense strands, like we have 10 organism. So 10 organism means it will have 10 sense strand and 10 anti-sense strand. So always this algorithm is working on the two parallel population of sense strands and population of anti-sense strand. So this is the artificial population. is generated. So so according to Mendel theory is working on the multiple species plants. Okay, so we are defining here multiple species. So for the two species, this is generalized for the n species, but here for the two species only. Species one have multiple organisms, have plants, and species two have multiple organisms. So it is first denaturized. Denaturized means this species is uncoiled into the sense strand and antisense strands, and this species is also uncoiled into the antisense strand and sense strand. Then, natural breeding says the sense strand population should breed with the antisense strand of the another species, and antisense strand should breed with the sense strand of the another species. So it happens like the same, and F1 generation offspring are the results. Then offspring have self breeding, and then F2 offsprings are the results with the heredity, and then collecting all offspring of this and all offsprings of this in, and the new population has been evolved from this to this species. So this is the population of new population. So this is complete evolution under multiple species. So we are talking about here the heredity. So heredity affect the F2 generation offspring. So how we how artificial heredity created. So for the parent, we want to create the heredity for parent J in the species in the J species. Sorry, parent in one species. So that parent has sense strand and anti-sense strand. So taking best of from both of them. So because this is we are talking about the evolution. So according to the evolutionary theory, the fittest will survive, and the fittest will survive. So fittest means the best will survive. So here the best from these two will come, and this is antisense strand from the another species. So antisense strand again comparing with them, and again if, according to the evolutionary theory, the best will survive from all of them. And at this point, again the evolutionary theory, we have recessive genes of this parent, or recessive genes of this parent. So now this is the extract of recessive genes from this these three strands. So this recessive genes will be compared with the already existing recessive genes, and again, which will be the best, that is the heredity of new offspring, which can be appear into the F2 generation offspring. So this after heredity, I want to explain the epimutation operator. So that epimutation operator is mutation is not a simple process. Multiple the environment affects organism multiple times, and it is not like that affected and the person is mutated. No, it resists. For example, if a person has some disease, the antibodies resist for that, and they try to bring the body state in the previous state. So it is like the same, like if organism has at the point p1, then there is, if there is a mutation and it reaches to the p2, and at the p2 the fitness of p1 is greater than the fitness of p2, means p2 is not the better condition the p1. So it rehabilitate itself, and it will bring back to the same state. Okay, so this is called rehabilitation, and this is called temporary mutation. So that p1 again it will do some mutation, and if it mutation again p1 is better than the p3, means the mutation is not good. It is called mutation is not good. So then it will rehabilitate itself and will bring back. Again it will do mutation, and it doesn't get the better position will bring back, and it will do it according to the probability how many times it one point want to do. And if the next, if the that mutation is better than the current state, it will keep it as a permanent mutation. So this is called epimutation, where it is not a single shot mutation. So it resists the mutation, the theory of resisting the mutation process. So it is implemented because that happens into the recessive genes. When we are talking mutation into the next generation, then the mutation may happen. But when we are talking the a mutation into the consecutive two generation, then this type of mutation works or comes under the picture. So after mutation, we have crossbreeding. In the crossbreeding of the two DNAs, for example, if we will go into the previous slide, so here I show you sense strands are crossed with the antisense strand and antisense strand with sense strand. So here the parent 1 strand, DNA strand, parent 2 DNA strand. So they create one offspring. So in the offspring, where the genes are same, they are dominant genes, and it is for each locus of the gene, or each locus of the DNA, or we can say for each gene, we will do toss. If that probability of this toss is 0.5, means if it is head, so head means it is coming from here, and tail means the genes will come from here at the same location. So if it is head, so it will come from the parent. If it is tail, then it will the gene value will come from the parent too. And these are the dominant gene which are directly will place onto the same locus without any toss, and rest of the genes will be filled based on the selection probability. So like the same, we can generate multiple offsprings. So multiple offspring. So it is not only one offspring. It depends on the problem. If we want to solve a big problem, then we can generate multiple offspring. And if we want to solve a small problem, so one or two offsprings are enough to do it. So all dominant genes will come here, and based on the toss, the others alleles will be filled from the parent one or parent two DNAs. So this was the crossbreeding. In the self-breeding is doing means parent is same. F1 generation offspring is doing breeding with itself. So when it is doing with itself, it takes the recessive genes, which is also called global best solution. In best, this is give the global best solution. So it is, if you will see in this mechanism, there is switch, and this switch decides the gene in the F2 offspring will come either from F1 or from the recessive genes with the probability of PT. So with the small probability that are when switches here, so genes are coming from the recessive, otherwise coming from the F1 generation. So like the same, F2 generations are made. So as I explained, this is multi-species algorithm. So multi-species means species one has multiple. This has multiple individuals. Species two and species n. So there are multiple species. So each species are giving one best solution, and from the all best solution there is one global solution. Like the same, when it is going to the another epoch, so another epoch is calculating the same, and if that global best solution is better than the previous global best solution, it is stored as the global solution. Otherwise the global solution from the previous generation will go forward until until the TE evolution. The same process will happen, and it is repetitive until the this solution. So that me algorithm So in the Meto algorithm, we have two population. One population is the sense strand population. The another population is the anti-sense strands population, because it is each population belongs to one strand of the DNA. So from that sense, this population, first recessive generations, recessive genes are formed. The population of recessive genes are formed. So that positions are corresponding to the popular parent. So this recessive genes belongs to the this parent. The second one belongs to the second parent, like the same. Then the pollination happen between the two populations, and population pollination and randomly parents are selected from the multiple species, and then crossbreeding take place. And after the crossbreeding, at the same time when crossbreeding happens, there is a epimutation on the recessive genes, because it is coming from the grandparent. Okay, so it is the epimutation happen in the long time, and then self-breed happen after the crossbreed, and this self-breeding takes the input from crossbreeding and epimutation and epimutated recessive genes. Then the selection process happens. It takes the uh, good offspring, and it keeps the sense strand of the offspring in the sense strand population, and antisense strand inside the antisense strand population. And so this is the inner process of evolution, and this is the outer process of evolution. So one can observe here there are parallel evolution process and linked at the end both. So the data structure in Meto algorithm is uh, we have sense strand and antisense strand. Okay, so DNA of offspring one, so both will be same size. Then we have fitness value. The fitness value will take the same memory size for the offspring one, like the of these are the information for the offspring one. Like the same, we will have offspring 2, and this offspring will 2 will have the same memory size as the offspring 1. And here is the one more addition, which is not inside the conventional evolutionary algorithms. This is recessive genes. So this recessive genes is may be considered as a memory element in of the this evolutionary algorithm. So if any the solution is disturbed from its from its good goodness, then that recessive generation correct it. So that is a difference between the genetic algorithm and meto algorithm. The difference is between means genetic algorithm means Darwin, and Darwin evolution, and Meto is the Mendelian evolution. So this is a difference. So genetic algorithm multi-species is optional, okay, but Meto mandatory, because Mendel carried on to the different species plants. So offspring genetic algorithm, the offsprings are coming in one generation, but Meto it must two generations are must. Memories, no memories in GA. Mito, memories is yes, because it is working on the recessive genes. So recessive genes are memory elements. So mutation in genetic algorithm is yes. In Mito, yes. But rehabilitation and GA is no, not available. But in Mito, it is must. Rehabilitation is must. Heredity transfer, it's from the parents only. Means only dominant genes are transferred only. They are not talking about the recessive genes. But Mito, they are transferred from the ancestors, not only from the pure line parents. Pure line parents means direct parents. So selection of parents, same population. Selection of parents from the same population, but it is from the different population. And evolution in one generation, but evolution in two generation, and that is parallel evolution. And the population is work on the chromosomes only, but it works on the double strand DNA. So that Meteor algorithm, after development, we have compared this algorithm with the many swarm or evolutionary algorithms like binary hybrid genetic algorithm, biography based optimization, differential evolution algorithm, weed optimization, shuffle frog leak, cultural algorithm, harmony search, bat algorithm, collaborative PSO, social learning PSO, gravitational search algorithm, group search optimizer, cuckoo search, B algorithm, Firefly algorithm. There are a lot, 22 algorithms we have compared. And we found, we took the lot of test benchmark function for that. And on the test benchmark function, you can find the information of this benchmark function in my published paper. There are 49 something benchmark function, maybe more than this. So we have applied on high in complex benchmark function, not easy. So this complex benchmark function like Keen-Bump benchmark function, if you will see the nature of the problem looks like Keen-Bump. If that we are solving any problem, engineering problem, if the nature of that problem is look like that. So this algorithm works fantastic. No other algorithm, if you will see, other algorithms are just on these points, but the Meto is going to its high performance. Also, we can see here where if you see the spread uncertainty in the Meto, that is very less compared to the other algorithms, where our other algorithms are, these algorithms are failed. Like the same, they are, this is the nature of the objective functions. If you will see different nature, and on different nature, our algorithms are outperforms over other algorithms. They are very far from the our algorithms. So we observe that our algorithms are giving better solution than the other algorithms incorporating all evolutionary algorithms following Darwin's rule. So other, the nature we can see there is different nature. All are different. All have different nature. So if there is a single global optimal point, so this type of problems, Meto is awesome. If we see here, if there is one, and also in the multi-model problems, these algorithms gives outstanding results. So also we can see here the nature of the problem is like that, deceptive problem. So Meto is giving uh, tremendous results over comparative to the other results. So we can say it's also comparative results on the Plato function. This is also one of the hard problem, and Meto is giving comparatively good solution, competitive solution on the all type of problems. This we have solved, and we see if there is a noise inside the optimization function. So on the noisy problems, that Meto algorithm is giving competitive solution and even good solution than the others if there is a noise in the function. So this type of nature can be seen in the communication system. So it has a huge potential uh, for the developed algorithms. We have compared with the 22 algorithms, but in this chart, I show only for the 13 algorithms. And we have applied onto the 43 benchmark problems. So 43 benchmark problems, Meto winner in the 23 problems, it is winner at the first position. It has second position on the say 7 problems, and third position at the 5 problem. It is like that. Okay, so total we have 43 problems. So we calculated based on the Kruskal-Wallis rank some scores, and we run this test, statistical test on that, and we found that Meto algorithm is the winner over other algorithms. So only genetic algorithm behind that, and BBO algorithm at the third place. Otherwise, you can see the other algorithms, they are not working well than the Meto algorithm. So this is a benefit of the Meto algorithm. On the 100 variable problem, we see that Meto is again the winner on the 100 variables problems. And also we have, if you will see here, the chart where the objective function value and time. So for the other algorithms, Mito is bit slower. Mito is bit slower than these algorithms, but the objective function for the objective function, it is giving the best result. And this is the main objective of developing evolutionary algorithms, that we should get better result than before. So my published article uh, is is on Mendelian evolutionary theory optimization algorithm, and it is published. So I will suggest you to go for more details and mathematical models for the how that mathematical model works. Because in this PPT I skipped that mathematical equations, and I try to show through the pictorial explanation. So the current application of Mendelian evolution theory is on deep evolution, and right now that model is at TRL 5, transformational readiness, technology readiness level 5, and it is under the testing, final testing. So next talk, if I expect, I will try to present that yeah, application of Me Too onto the deep evolution technology. Thanks for listening.
Great, thank you so much for your talk. I'll start off with a couple of questions and then we can go ahead and take questions from the audience. So if anybody has questions, go ahead and ask them in Slido, and the link is on our YouTube chat. So I guess one big question for me is, what do you think there are any parts of evolution that we don't understand very well, like biological evolution, that we don't understand very well, that maybe if we understood them a little bit better, then maybe we could come up with better algorithms?
Yes, evolution, the meaning of the evolution is like that. As the actually modern genetics is not solved at this point. Scientists are also thinking what will happen. So as I told in one slide, that Mendel's theory is in some concept it is in and out, in and out. It is like as the evolution is going on. So that as the evolution will takes place, the new equations will come, the new persons will mimic, and they will try to improve the algorithms, and this is evolution. So that's I am, or scientists are also calling it evolution of the evolutionary algorithms.
Okay, cool. Let's pop over to Slido and look at a couple of questions. So we can look at our first question from Olaf, asking, you mentioned getting away from gradient descent allows us to perform well on discontinuous or multimodal problems. Isn't that valid for all evolutionary techniques? So is there something special about the Me-Too algorithm that helps with this?
Excuse me, can you explain again? I missed some.
Sure, no problem. The question was about if we get away from gradient descent, that allows us to perform well on multimodal problems, or like discontinuous problems, or with a lot of hills, basically. Is that just valid for all evolutionary algorithms, or is there something special about the Me-Too algorithm that makes it very good for this?
Yes, Me Too algorithm winner on this because it's a binary coded algorithm. So other algorithms like biography based optimization and PSO form optimizations, they are real coded algorithms. So if there is a discrete problem or binary problems, so Mito performs better. So that we can feed directly this problem to this algorithm without any uh, uh, conversion into the any other forms. No conversion. So this is a best side of the Mito algorithms. that the problems the genetic algorithms can solve, Mito can solve.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I guess just from a sort of personal point of view, I'm curious what got you interested in evolution. Like, how did you find out about evolutionary algorithms? What, like, were you very interested in biology or something else, or what?
That is from the biology.
Okay. I mean, did you like study biology when you were younger, or how did you get into this field?
Uh, Actually, when I was in PhD, I was doing PhD. So my guide, he was telling that analogy. So he was telling that establish analogy, and at that same time, one very prominent professor, Kalyan Dev. So I was very inspired from him. He was a pioneer of NSGA2 algorithms. Maybe I think you know about him.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in my department. So I was very inspired of him, and then I found that his style of research, and then I studied the biology, and uh, then I found it's very interesting, and then I came to the evolutionary algorithm field, and I just matched the two subjects and found, wow, it's the evolution. If we are mimicking some nature inspired things, then it gives very good algebraic equations which can solve a lot of problems. Then I studied and I did it.
Cool. That's really awesome. Okay, so the next question, we have a sort of technical question from Slido. Does Me2 perform better or worse on certain types of noises?
Mito, uh, on the noisy function, it performs better than the other algorithms. And for the multimodal problems and noisy problems, it performs better from other. I have tested compared to the 22 algorithms, and it found that Mito is the best for the noisy algorithm, noisy objective functions, noisy problems.
Okay, and I guess just to maybe clarify a little bit, have you tried like different kinds of noise or just noise in general it does well with? Or
Uh, that right now I use general noise on the different functions, different natures functions from plateau to multimodal problems, but the similar type of noise, and that I found that Mito is working better. Yeah, that is my future scope. I have to do it. Thank you for the suggestion.
okay, cool, thank you. Next question. So you mentioned that a generation was tested first with the dominant genes and then the recessive genes, and that's how each individual was selected. Could you explain that in a little bit more detail?
Yes. So what happened? So this, first of all, Mendel evolutionary theory work on the two generation. Okay. So yeah, so two, it works on the two generation offspring. Like Darwin finished in the one generation, but it didn't finish. It says no, one generation is not enough. You should go to the second generation also. So in the what he took the parents from the two different species. So that's why we are creating two populations of different species. Okay, so two populations, and each population, if you will see here, each population has two subpopulation. One subpopulation contains sense strand of DNA, and the second population contains antisense strand of DNA. So there is a why too, because this theory is working on the DNA instead of chromosome. Okay, that's why it deals with two strand instead of one strand inside the chromosome. It's it's more real than the one chromosome. So like the same, the species 2 has two subpopulation. One is antisense strand population and the sense strand population. So here we can say J species and the K species. So So now this is the formation of the population only. Okay, organism, lot of organism has and artificial DNAs they have. Now the first generation breeding is the result of crossover. So that crossover is between the different species parents. So different species parents. So as modern genetics says, the sense strain only can breed with the anti-sense strain. Okay, sense strain can't breed with the sense strain. So it is must sense strain should breed with the anti-sense strain and making one parent. Sorry, one offspring population. And anti-sense strain is breeding with the sense strain and making the another population of offspring. So F1 generation is giving two population where you can see DNA, again DNA. So this process is called artificial denaturation, when we are uncoiling the DNAs, and then this is called annealing, where we are coiling the DNA again, coiling two strand DNAs. So this is offspring in F1 generation. Then in this offspring, when we self breed means the same organism is breeded with itself. Okay, so this is a process. So there is a theory when it self breed. So some genes are coming from directly in the resulting of offspring from here, and some are coming from the ancestors from the another route. Okay, so in this sense the F2 generations are formed for the two this is for this species, and that two offspring is for this species. After generating two offsprings, then we will accumulate all offsprings and then apply natural selection to find the best offspring. So that best offspring will be the parents for the new species. Okay, so they will replace the old species, and like this will, as you can see, yellow. So yellow background means this species has been converted into the this species, and gray means this species has been converted into that species. So that is a evolution process and iterative process, and this process will happen again. So this F2 offspring generations are taking heredity from the ancestors. So that heredity is also evolving through the epimutation process. So they are not directly going to the F2 generations because they are going from generation to generations. So there should be some mutations, but our biology resists the mutation, okay, at some extent. But if it finds the better mutation, it accepts the better heredity will come into the F2 generation. So this is complete picture of the meto process algorithm.
Okay, cool. Thank you for explaining that to us again. I actually had a question unrelated to the Slido questions. How much do you, and sorry, this is going to be one of those things that is like, actually, it's not a question. I'm telling you something, but it's in the form of a question. But how much do you think evolution is survival of the fittest versus like survival of the fit enough? Because that's a different way of thinking about evolution that I think is not reflected in sort of these current uh, ways of doing evolution. But like, what if we had just, yeah, survival of the fit enough rather than selecting for the best? What do you think would happen?
Survival of the fittest. Uh, can you explain again?
Sure. I mean, well, the idea that you presented, right, was survival of the fittest, which is just the things that are the best are the things that we're going to keep selecting for. I'm just wondering if we could maybe imagine an alternate sort of paradigm where maybe it's not just the things that are the best, but maybe there's a binary sort of fitness function where it's things that are good enough might survive, and what that might look like, if that would change anything.
Yeah, you are right. Survival of fittest. Sure, there are many strategies. But we have published this paper with the survival of fittest. but this can be changed with the like a roulette wheel selection and a tournament selection. So there is actually selection process. Survival of fittest is the instead of allied selection, we can introduce some roulette wheels, tournament selection, random selection, and sure they should improve, or maybe they can improve and they can degrade the solution.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. We can
Yeah.
do it.
We'll have to experiment, find out a little bit more. A few more questions from Slido. So we have a question from Madi, who asked, as a revolutionary technique, did the Me Too algorithm face problems being accepted, similar to what Mendel faced under the strong shadow of Darwin?
Hmm. But Maddie, what is his calling? Sorry, what he's asking?
Did you have any trouble having your idea, the Me Too algorithm, being accepted, or was it straightforward?
Me too persons, it is not accepted straightforward, and it has very good results. And right now, it is. I'm applying on the various applications to see the so it would be accepted by the industry. I'm trying to propose to the industry the application on the deep evolution. So we are in the TRL 5 or TRL 6 level right now. So it would be accepted. Straight.
Okay, cool. And then I guess one final question before we head over to our Zoom chat. You mentioned you were working on follow-ups. Would you like to share a little bit about promising future directions, applications for the study? Like what would these algorithms be? What would this algorithm be good for?
This, if you have mixed variables, for example, deep evolution, neural network is like it has a structure information. It has real variables, it has binary variables, and also integer variables. So mixed variables are very hard to solve by other problems. The best algorithm until so far is the genetic algorithm. So try to replace genetic algorithm by this Mito algorithm, and sure it will give better result than that. So like neuroevolution, we next I think best will be the neuroevolution or network planning or vehicle routing problem. That type of algorithms, sorry, problems will be will be good for the Mito.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your talk. Really appreciate it. And then we will see everybody over in Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.